Hello and welcome to this video on Humblewood Minis, Bandits of the Wild. This is specifically looking at the Jerbeen Thief. This is the whole reason why I bought this box set. I just love this mini, and he's now my favorite mini in my whole collection. Going to be using him hopefully in D&D to come up in the next little while. So he's a great little miniature, and I just want to go over some of the painting processes that I did with him. So first we'll start off at the bottom of the base. The base was Chaos Black, so I used mostly GW paints. Then I used Mechanicus Standard Gray. And then I went over it with Null Oil, and then I did a Celestial Gray dry brush on there. And it turned out pretty good. So if I turn them around, you'll also see a couple of other things on the base. I included a skeleton spear tip from Games Workshop. And along with that, there's also this little book, kind of hard to see. That was just a piece of leftover sprue that I turned into a little worn out book, and I placed some blood on here. Blood for the Blood God from Games Workshop. Also, with this model, some other additions that I did to him, I added on little whiskers there that did not come with the model. That was a bit of a pain to put on, but definitely worth it. So starting off with the skin coloration, I used Cadian skin flesh shade for that one. And then for his nose, I added on a little bit of Carobird Crimson, that's how you pronounce it, maybe, possibly. So I also used that for the redder areas in his ears. Now, you might have noticed his gemstone there, if we're talking about the reds. I used Flesh Terror Red, so that's one of the new paints, contrast paints from Games Workshop. And then I also went over it with Magos Purple, and then I did some edge highlighting by taking corn red that I had and adding some white to it to do the little highlights on the gem. And then I coated the whole thing with good old art coat. So that's the little gem in the reds. His skin tone kind of did a watercolor effect. I did a very light going over of the gray areas with Apothecary White from Games Workshop. Now just make sure you shake up this bad boy quite a bit before you use it. It turned out quite well. And then I did a bit of highlighting with a little bit of white here and there. Now with his eyes, that was simply just straight black paint, and then I did some little touch-ups with White Scar White. Now we'll move on to the browns. So if we're looking at his cloak there, that one, I definitely used a couple of different paints. I used Tau Light Ochre, Ushabti Bone, and I also used a contrast Agoros Dunes, this guy here. And I also experimented a little bit and did a little bit of snakebite leather on there as well, the contrast paint. With his backpack as well, that one I believe was Cyborg Brown, mostly. Cygor Brown, sorry. And then I did a little bit of highlighting with one of the other browns that I have. So it's just a lighter shade. And then we have, of course, our little scrolls. Those are simply done mostly with Ushabti Bone and Reichland Flesh Shade. Just went over those. And you can tell also with his ears, I imitated how the ears would be in real life. So you would see through the ears. So you would see that kind of fleshy sort of tone. If you think about rabbits in the sunlight, the light goes through their ears. So I wanted to include that in this guy here. And then of course there's a little bit of gold. That's Retributor Armor, the best gold from GW's range. So yeah, I had a lot of fun painting this little guy up. I also painted the whiskers here white. I use Blast to paint. Can't wait to use them in my D&D campaigns coming up. Definitely worth picking up these models. They were super nice, very easy to deal with. Very little mold lines to clean up. Definitely recommend. Again, the Humblewood Minis, Bandits of the Wild. Well, until next time, happy painting.